So we've been talking quite a bit about moving into this e-commerce space, and I think we're almost ready to go. So what do we do next? Now we're going to open this window of opportunity because we are saying, okay, our door is open still with our brick and mortar store, or maybe we have to deal with curbside because of COVID. But now we're going to explore this whole online. So where a door closes, a window opens. So tell me.
Well, and the irony is that all of the tips and tricks and techniques and things that we've been talking about can work and should work, and you should do for a brick and mortar business. You don't have to have an online business to be doing all of these things to scale and expand your business and make sure that it is and stays successful. But it makes a great, of course, foundation and launching off point for an online business. And you're not just pigeonholed into one or two or even three types of online businesses. You get to dictate exactly what you want to sell and how you want to sell it. So there are lots of models out there. You can have the kitchen sink model where you are selling everything online that you also sell in your store, or you're selling everything online that you have available. We're talking about, of course, brick and mortar established businesses that are going online, or startups that are only starting first and foremost online, and that's all they're going to do without a brick and mortar location. So you can put everything that you have to offer for sale. That's obvious, but you don't have to do that. You could have 18,000 SKUs, and you go, I can't get all of these things online. You could have a custom auto parts store and have a massive catalog that's constantly changing. It would be a nightmare to maintain, and unless you have another way to upload a catalog or a platform, that sounds to me like a nauseating nightmare. And so you might just want to put your most popular stuff on there, or things that you want to clear out, or specials. You get to decide how small or big that business is, and then you get to decide how you're going to do it. If you have somebody that's helping you with your website, or if you're particularly proficient with web development yourself, you can do it yourself with platforms like WooCommerce, which is the foremost online e-commerce platform for WordPress, which is one of the more popular website platforms out there. Shopify is one that everyone has heard of. A great success story where it is an all-in-one turnkey package. You sign up for Shopify and you get the website. It's already pre-designed. It looks fantastic. You just include your logo, the information about your business, and load up your inventory, and away you go. They even handle fulfillment, which is an important part of it, where you're talking about packaging and shipping. And of course, it's easy to upload your products and add pricing and photos and all of these things.
Are they still offering the 90-day free trial?
They are. Absolutely, they are. And that is great. But also the other side of that is that the price for a Shopify website is not high at all. I think it's below under $30 a month.
Right. So if you don't have a website at all, it's a great way to get into the market online.
Yes, with an asterisk beside that. A Shopify website is a great looking website that will give you a great online store, and you will get a home page, an about page, a contact page, and all the product pages. But you can't add additional content to that site. You can't have a blog. You can't have a gallery page. You can't add your own whatever it is that you're doing on your own to that website. So
can you add connections to your social media?
Yes, you can. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's that, definitely, and that might be enough. That might be just fine. You might not want to, have the added, maintenance of developing out all that content. But then you might want to be building out your website to be a resource and a focal point for your customers. It all depends on what your ultimate goals are.
But if I have 40 pairs of shoes I want to sell, Shopify works for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you might not even want to even go through all of that. You just might want to pass it all off and have somebody else do all that, and have them take a larger cut of it. And in that case, you could use another platform, most notably the A word. You can use Amazon. Amazon can store, warehouse your product and fulfill all of the sales for you. You could literally create an online business, register it with Amazon, send them all your stuff, they store it, and then when people buy your stuff, Amazon fulfills that, packages it, ships it, and sends you your cut. It's really, really kind of clean. You don't make as much, but it's that time and effort that you're paying for. Really, that's the time and
Right.
effort and stress of doing all that. Now that could be for volume, and if you're just looking to churn
Sure.
stuff out at a high rate, that might be the way to do it.
If I can sew 500 masks a week, that might be the way to do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
If I'm selling computer cables from China and I'm just selling them, left, right, and center, and I just want them out the door. I don't want to warehouse all this stuff. I just want them to go. That might be the way to go. There are plenty of companies out there that do that. You could do a mix of all of these too.
Right.
You could have your own website, and then you could link that to a Shopify store. That could be a separate division or a separate, house for your brand. And then you can also have that Amazon store too.
Sure. When you
also,
mentioned, sorry, I'm just going to go back a wee bit because you mentioned fulfillment and how Shopify manages that. How do they help with that part?
They have a back end that they can help with shipping and all of that sort of thing, label printing. It's just their software or their platform helps with formatting and just it's very turnkey. So
I put in my address saying I want something delivered to, ABC John Street, 123 John Street, and I put that in there, and then at your end you see what?
It has integrations. So just as with payment, it has integrations with credit cards and Interac and PayPal and all that. On the other end, it has integrations with shipping services. So it's integrations with Canada Post and FedEx and UPS and the major shippers. So what you're going to do then is you're going to connect your accounts through Shopify. And then as an order comes in, you can either indicate how you're shipping to your customers or let your customers choose how they want to get it shipped. So that way, anybody who shopped online has seen that. You might have various tiers of I want it tomorrow, I want it an hour from now, I want it next week or whatever, and then you pay accordingly. Those options you can make those options available, or you can limit those options as much as you want, and then that is all done as a back end connection because you're connecting your accounts through those shipping vendors, and you'll have to create different accounts for each one of those shipping vendors that you offer. And then it'll literally create a shipping label for you. You package up whatever it is you're packaging up, slap the label off, and then arrange for pickup.
Okay.
Now, again, with fulfillment, like with Amazon, and I believe Walmart does this as well, with the house or warehousing and fulfillment, that's all done on their end. You don't see any of that.
Right.
At a cost.
You just send them your stuff in one big box, and they deal with the inventory management.
Exactly right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And then as far as websites go, of course, there are plenty of different options. You've got web developers that will create websites from scratch for you, or use existing platforms. You can also use turnkey platforms like Squarespace would be probably one of the bigger ones I would recommend. I don't want to not recommend others, but there are some that there's a couple I would shy away from. Do a little research. It really doesn't take long.
Squarespace is relatively new, is it not?
No, they've been around for well over 10 years now.
Okay, because I'm just starting to see their ads.
Oh, really? Yeah. No, they've had they have a great ad with Keanu Reeves where he's on a motorcycle and he drives in the middle of the desert and he's there with a laptop in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, no, that's exactly, that must be the one I'm seeing right now.
Oh, that's an old one. That's been around for a while, yeah.
Okay, well, maybe I'm watching an old show, who knows?
Well, it's because this is my industry though, so I can tend to see these stuff right away. So they're a turnkey website platform. They're kind of like the Shopify for just websites,
Okay.
Great for just about anybody, but it does have e-commerce integrations, absolutely for sure. You can create a really great looking website with Squarespace.
So how does
I don't get any money.
Yeah, how does it compare to the GoDaddies or the Wixes of the world?
Well, what you're getting with those is a website builder. You're getting a web app, so it's like an application or program, but it's based in their website that helps you build a website that looks good. And they might have templates that you can use, and then you can customize the templates with your own type and colors and logos and images and that sort of thing. I know that Wix and Weebly are both pretty well respected. That may not have always been the case, but it certainly is now. They've had chances to grow and develop and expand and improve their service. I'm a big fan of GoDaddy for searching for domain names to see what's available because it's really quick. I just go to godaddy.ca.
Mhm.
But that's really kind of all what I use them for. I think I may
Yeah.
have mentioned on a previous call that it is really difficult to remove your content and your service from them. In particular, say if you buy a domain name from GoDaddy and then you want to host your website with another service, it's easier to get a tooth pulled than to
Right.
get that domain name out of their clutches. It's your domain name, you bought it, but then to move
But
it over somewhere else, I don't like that. I much prefer a a company that will let me move what I own as freely as I need to. So
yeah, and that actually is a really good point, because choosing your domain name and finding the space to buy it, because there are multiple places where you can buy your domain name.
right,
You can search it anywhere, and then they'll come up and tell you who can make it available to you. But WHC, I think, is where I tend to work with, and you shouldn't be paying more. I've certainly never paid more than $10 for a domain name.
yeah, and depending on what the domain name is, the price will vary. .ca domain names, for example, are a little more money, but they're registered with the CIRA. There's
Right.
benefits to having a .ca domain name, so there's that. But you're right,
Yes.
and some suffixes get on sale. Like, there's a lot more than .ca, .com, .org. There's a whole bunch. Like I'll
Yeah.
see, hey, .online is on sale for $1.99 or whatever.
Well, and now they're not even, and now you're not, you used to be kind of required to have that 3-character dot whatever, and now it can be anything. So it's almost like the personalized license plates that kind of went
Really,
from,
yeah,
minimal characters to now 8, or even email addresses have to have 8 characters in the beginning. Now we don't, and we're not limited
right.
by that. We're not limited to that that syntax anymore.
Yeah, and the idea was that .coms were going to be the ones that Google searched for and indexed the highest, and that thinking's like 10 years old now. Google's search
Yes.
algorithm's gotten much more sophisticated. It's looking for keywords. It's looking for traffic. It's looking for authenticity and
Yeah.
respectability and all that sort of thing. It's not looking for what your domain name looks like.
Right. Well, and it's interesting you say that, because I remember back in the day when we would be searching for a domain name, if you were in Canada, you really did want to qualify for .ca. And
Yeah.
when you were when you were reviewing your search returns, a .com typically indicated that it was A, commercial, and B, from the States.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
if you
right.
didn't want business related information, or you wanted to try and verify that the information you're getting was true and not tainted with advertising or part of that issue there. So that was where the .edu always identified, okay, this is an actual academic institution, or a .org says at least it's a nonprofit, so they're less likely to sell you something.
Yeah, exactly right. And unfortunately, those formats only apply in the States. Every other country has their own suffix, .mx for Mexico, .ca for Canada, and so on.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
so if you do see a .edu, you know it's an American school. If you do see a .org, you know it's an American nonprofit organization, and so on. Yeah.
right. Yeah. Well, and now they've been able to change that. Loyalist College, for example, was loyalistc.on.ca. All of the colleges had that syntax where it was the college name with a C at the end, .onca, which was the kind of ongoing
Yeah,
thing.
and that's kind of like that's a government format. A lot
Yes.
of government websites have the .on.ca, provincial websites anyway. Yeah.
Yes. And they've pulled away from that now. And of course, loyalistcollege.com is
Mhm.
what they operate with. So,
Right.
I mean, and the neat thing is you can have, if you're concerned about someone using a slightly close domain name to yours, you can buy the additional ones. So if you want to operate as jilldennis.com, you can buy that one, but then you can also buy the jilldennis.ca and rent jill.dennis or whatever might look like yours. And if
Mhm.
you're buying it from one of those sites, like your second and third and fourth domain names are at a discount.
Yeah. And just a quick note too about searching for domain names. If you're searching for a domain name and you can't find the exact one you want, somebody's taken the .com, just add another word or two to it. I don't think he'll mind me saying it. Belleville native Chris Cadell, a great rock musician who's based in Toronto, he doesn't have chriscadell.com. I think it was taken by somebody else. So he has chriscadellmusic.com, so you can just add a keyword that relates to your business at the end of that. You could add online. You could, if I'm opening up Jamie's Drones, I could put jamiesdronesonline.com or .ca.
Right.
You just get a little bit creative to make sure that it's still memorable without having to, compromise too much.
Right.
That's not really a compromise, really.
No, but and I guess going right back to the whole piece of this, when you're creating your domain name, search it out, find a couple that seem to work, and buy it not from the site. Buy it from a distributor or an internet, like CIRA is probably one of the best because you're going to the source.
Yeah, another thing you can do too is if you're working with somebody who's creating a website from the beginning, buy it maybe from the same company that's going to host your website. All the companies that host websites, all the files and the images and everything else that where your website lives, they also sell domain names too, and that makes it super easy. It's all in one place.
But doesn't that bring you into that situation where if you do decide you have to move? That's
hopefully you're going to research your web host too and make sure that they're a reputable company that will allow you to pick up, and most of them do, will allow you to pick up and move your website wherever you want it to. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So again, it just takes a little research. Ask your web designer, if you have one, what they recommend, and then you can do your own Google search and see what others say about that particular company.
And I mean, we have some great website developers and web design developers here in this community. So that's not meant necessarily a knock against any of them, because and each of them offer a different level of, I won't say a different level of service, but depending on how much what your ability is to manage content and how much of that you want to have control over, whether you need something that's going to be really graphically sophisticated and you need to use them for also some of that graphic design experience, or if it's more about some of the technical apps that kind of run in behind the scenes, like you would get with your e-commerce site. So if they're going to build a customized piece, that's part of the other story that you might want to consider.
Absolutely, yeah. Another option I want to touch on just briefly though, because it's one that I would say you could include in the mix, but I wouldn't rely solely on the mix, is using some of these social media platforms as a direct sales funnel.
Okay, like a marketplace?
Exactly. Facebook has marketplace, and there's a Pinterest, I believe, and there are a few others where Facebook's the prominent one.
Yeah, so what about Kijiji?
This is the other part too. You've got Kijiji for mostly local or at least Canadian-based online sales. It's more Craigslist still in the States. You've got eBay, of course. eBay's a worldwide platform though, so you're really competing on a larger scale, and it gets more complicated. And of course, the trouble with any of these in-person ways of doing it is that you're going to have to meet with somebody. So consider that. This is going to be a pickup or a delivery, as opposed to an online platform where you just get to mail it to them and you're accepting payments. You're already set up for that online payment transaction and that sort of thing. There's some risk to doing it.
Sure. Didn't the police set up a safe space to do that?
That I'm not aware of. Possibly, yeah.
Yes. You know what? I need to Google that because they did. I'm positive that there was a spot where you could go and do your identify as the location where you were going to drop off your material.
I would love to know that. That would help a lot of people, I think.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of traffic on these in these groups because it's COVID-19. People are looking to do some things, so they end up cleaning up their house and they have a lot of stuff to sell off.
Yeah, let me just see. I wonder if there's anything here. Anyway, we won't take much time with that. But anyway, it's I believe there is something.
Yeah, and certainly a lot of home-based businesses rely on some of these platforms to do some sales. These are micro businesses, home-based.
No, absolutely. But maybe you're trying to get rid of all those baseball cards that your mom kept in the cupboard for 40 years.
Right.
I
And
don't know
it
anyone
could
like
be
that.
it could, but it also, well, you touched on something though. It could just be a short-term business. It could just be something.
Right,
I have an inventory of one thing. I want to get rid of it, and then when I get rid of it, I'm done.
right.
Or I'm gonna bake pies from September to April, and then I'm gonna go to Barbados for the summer or whatever. It's
Yeah,
not
or
going
the
to be my
reverse,
full
whatever
time.
it might be.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's not
Sure.
my full time gig. This is not what I'm just doing this as an occasional thing, and I'm not looking to scale it or create a huge empire out of it. So, yeah, I always have to consider what your ultimate goal is and where you're
Sure.
looking, where you want to be.
Exactly. So we're talking about the business model. So that's kind of where that's going to sit, whether you're going to go with a full-on website platform with a full-on e-commerce program, and or you try to find, like, whether you're going to produce in volume to provide to Amazon, whether you're going to you're going to continue to make it local and maybe just take pictures in your store. Maybe you're just taking something the other way. So we've got that. We've got our domain name. And we mentioned establishing online marketing channels. So what would you?
Mhm. Well, again, we're looking at the social media platforms we're talking about. An absolute must is, of course, registration with Google My Business,
Okay.
because when you register that, when you have somebody Google your business name, one of the first things they're going to see is a sidebar with your name in nice big letters, your address, your phone number, your hours, all the information that you would provide to Google when you register it. So it's
Right.
verified, and this is what Google wants. Google wants accurate, verified information from the business source. So that's vital. It's free. You're helping Google. Google's helping you. It's kind of a handshake
Perfect.
thing. So yeah, again, all of these channels are free to join. They will want to encourage you to buy advertising from them at some point. Creating
And then
content
we
is a
refer
great way.
people back to that conversation about advertising.
Yeah. Now, advertising is a fast way to start. Online advertising, in particular, when we're talking about content and building a brand and building a great reputation for yourself, this takes time. And if you are a little more impatient, or you want to do a mix, I do recommend online advertising. The return on investment in online advertising is very good. You can make your advertising your posts. So instead of creating a separate ad for a Facebook ad, you can say, hey, I'm really proud of this post we made, or this video I created that I posted. I'm going to make this an ad and put it out there as a sponsored post that's in Facebook, and they do work well. A lot the best advertisements I see on Facebook are posts,
Right.
of particular content that a platform or a brand or a company might be very proud of, something that they get a lot of traction from and see a lot of value from. Their customers go, wow, that was really good. These guys know what they're talking about, kind of thing. So I don't shy away from necessarily spending a few dollars. You can spend next to nothing on ads and see how it works, because you're only paying for the impressions you're getting, and you can micro target particular audiences. So say, I'm going to spend $30 on some ads this weekend and see what happens. That's pretty good value, I think, and you can dip your toes in that water and see how it works.
Right. So I'm just wondering if we want to talk a little bit more about that, that whole advertising piece, that whole impressions versus clicks, and how because that's always a bit of a language that's foreign to most moving into this space. So we did talk about that whole boost or bust thing, and that boosting may not actually help. But now we've moved into this idea that advertising online does offer some return on that investment.
It does, yeah. And impressions versus clicks. I mean, the clicks is, of course, what you're after. You want people to engage with the content that you're posting, and the clicks are, of course, what you're paying for. Impressions are just, how many people are going to actually see this or did see it in their feeds. When you're posting native content in these platforms, this is what happens too. Not everyone that subscribes to your group or your channel are going to see it, and that's the real issue.
Right.
Only about 2 to 10% of the people who are actually are fans of your content are going to see it, unless they're online right when you post it. That's why I say the more you post, the better. if you can post 10 times a day, the more chances that your followers are going to organically see the stuff. Then that's great. But the paid advertising gets it in front of more eyes, and more eyes more often. That's what you're paying for. You're paying for attention. You're paying for whatever it is that you're crafting to give to Facebook to show people. That's what that is. And again, you're not just blindly paying a fee and hoping that people see it. They're charging you after the fact. They're saying, okay, at the end of this campaign, this is how many impressions you got, this is how many click-throughs you got, and this is what we're charging based on, per click and so on. There's a lot to learn there, but it's well worth it. And if you can get really good at online advertising, especially with Facebook and Google, you can make that your only source of advertising if you wanted to, and probably do very, very well. It's really up to you.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Sorry, excuse me. All right. So do you think we've covered that, where we've opened the window of opportunity? We've got someone ready to go with their online store and some ideas at least. And of course, they can always reach back out to you at e-commerce advisor.
You can email me at info@bellevilleecommerceassistance.ca. You can also find me on Facebook. The Belleville E-commerce Assistance Program has a Facebook page there as well. And I'm available to any Belleville area-based small business, home-based business, to answer questions, to consult about what you're doing, to provide options, to give you information, to basically advise you on any online marketing or e-commerce options you might want to explore.
Well, that's been great. I thank you so much. We will take one. We'll probably have one more little conversation here, but I'll take this off recording now, and that kind of breaks us up.